ask. Oh, wow. I didn't know. I've never heard the announcement before.
Haven't either.
So just if you have any questions that you don't feel comfortable at being recorded or anything, just feel free to reach out to me afterwards. But really this intent is just to make sure that if someone wasn't able to make one of the meetings that they could review it at their leisure. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Amy Bland, as you can see on the screen. I am the last phase of fundraising. I'm the cabinet lead or chair for that. So as I've expressed to some of the team captains, and I hope they've expressed to you, is that this last phase is really one of the more exciting phases, because up until now, it's been really hush-hush on raising donations and getting the funds raised. And in our phase, we get to announce it to the community. We get to try to get as much of the community aware of what the project is doing, what we're bringing to Rock Island, and the uniqueness of it, and trying to have a lot of people feel like they're a part of the process as well. So that's a part of the gift asking, as well as letting them be aware that this is something that we're bringing for Rock Island to take advantage of for years to come. So my role is voluntary, so I'm not employee of the Y. So now I'm going to have the Y and library employees introduce themselves and say what their roles are, and starting with Denise.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for sharing your time with us and talent so that we can make this project a success. I'm Denise McCauley. I'm the development director at the YMCA. And so I'll be kind of your main contact for questions, especially as it pertains to the Y.
I'm Kathy Lavonic. I'm the director of the Rock Island Public Library Foundation. And if you need anything or would like me to drop something off or run to the Y, or we'll have materials at the library, just let me know. And we just want to make things easy for you. And thanks a million.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the agenda, and Denise is going to go over the campaign overview, just in case there's things that hasn't been shared between your captains, just so you'll see what the Y and library is going to look like, what services will be offered, and Denise will go into detail about that.
Right. First, I'll make sure you guys can see the agenda on there, right? Thumbs up that you can see my screen. Okay, great. Thank you. I just get nervous on Zoom sometimes. So, well, so the first thing I want to do is I want to tell you a little bit about our overall goals for the campaign and what we've done so far. So our overall goal for the entire campaign is to raise $7.8 million. And that is to acquire what is currently the Tri-City Jewish Center in central, kind of geographically central Rock Island, near the intersection of 30th and 31st. And so 7.8 million of that, we've raised 6.9 million to date. And that's about 88.2% to go, with about 900,000 left to go. So I'll talk a little bit more about the community phase here in a moment. But as we talk about this facility, I'm going to ask Kathy to go over what this project's going to, a little bit about what it looks like, but then maybe first about what the impact will be on the community.
Are you putting the screen up?
I will.
Okay. Thank you.
There we go.
So when you think about the library and the YMCA, they're the traditional services that we've always offered, with the working out equipment and group fitness classes, children learning how to swim, soccer teams with parents helping coach and things like that. And the library's end of it, you think of borrowing books and story times with kids in strollers, and coming to use the computer to check emails and maybe apply for jobs, or looking up genealogy and things like that. And we still have all of these traditional things that you think of, but some things you probably don't realize that we do are, the Y has groups to help people suffering from Parkinson's or rehabbing from cardiac arrest, or cancer survivor programs, or people with diabetes who just need some support and information to work together to get healthy. Another thing that the Y has been doing is providing meals throughout the community for Y, and also groups like daycares and things like that. The library has been doing homebound deliveries since the pandemic started, because people didn't want to come out of their houses. We have a mobile library which goes all throughout the community and on schedule. We're trying to go out into the community. We've helped with the RockFi. We partnered with the school district to help have digital access, and the mobile library did that as well. And the collaborative meeting and study space has been a great thing too. Something that we can do with this new project is offer a community center for Rock Island and Moline and Milan that will have great equitable access. We will help grow the mind and body in one place so people can stop by and maybe exercise, leave their kid, and then maybe walk over to the library and have a story time. And we also help with learning loss with youth literacy enrichment. So try to help kids through the summer with reading, and no cost access for job seekers who would want to come and use our resources. And the librarians are really great at helping find resources. And the endless collaborative opportunities between both organizations. I can speak on the library's behalf. The librarians are so excited about the programming that we can do in conjunction with the Y. It's going to be great.
Thanks, Kathy. Sorry, I apologize. My screen is freezing a bit. Just a moment. There we go. Well, I'll walk us through kind of what this is a layout of what the facility will look like. Of course, there's always changes along the way as we go through construction, but I love to share this because it gives a nice visual to the programming that Kathy talked about. There's a lot of things that we each have done and will continue to do in this facility, but there's a lot of opportunities for growth and new things that will really impact the Rock Island community. So this is the footprint. This would be the entrance over here. Nice entrance plaza. Currently the entrance is over here in this green portion. There's a little drive-through, so that will be enclosed and will become part of the Y kind of wellness cardio equipment area. The new entrance is going to be over here where it says vestibule, and that will be a shared lobby area where off to the right, if you go down into this purple area, that will be the library. And I'll have Kathy talk about what's going on in that area in just a moment. And then if you go off this way, you're going to be going into the Y side of the building. Something that you'll see is that there's the gym on the lower level. It's the only thing on the lower level, but there'll be a great opportunity for youth sports, open gym, other community events with such a nice large space. So that will get a nice little bit of a facelift, but it's great that it's already existing. The shared lobby, this will be the Y's main check-in desk. And then once you pass, check in as a member, the first thing you'll come to is the child watch area. And so you're all of our members. So I'll back up a moment. All members at the Y, we have kind of two types of memberships. We have our regular full paying memberships, but then about 1 in 5 members is actually on an income-based membership. And what that means is that you pay what you can based on your household size and income, and additional scholarships as needed. But so that way no one's turned away for the inability to pay. Regardless of what kind of membership you have, everyone is able to use this child watch area. When you're working out, or maybe just need some mental health time to yourself, you want to sit in the lobby and just kind of breathe, then that's okay too. But you get you can drop your child off for free, and they'll be under the care of some YMCA, some passionate YMCA staff. There'll be an outdoor area for the kids with the playground, as well as an indoor area. As you continue on through the Y, we'll see there's a walking track. We'll have a small locker room, some wellness facilities, lots of nice natural light that will be here on the west side of the building. And I'll show you some pictures of that in a moment. But we'll have a cycling studio, group exercise. We will have a chronic disease classroom. As Kathy mentioned, we do have a number of different programs that serve people with a variety of different chronic diseases that help them maintain a healthy and active lifestyle. We'll have some other multi-purpose rooms and that we'll use for a number of different types of activities. And then also our kitchen. As Kathy mentioned, the Y has what we call our Nourish Food program, where we serve meals to kids throughout Rock Island County. Right now, we serve about 210,000 free meals to kids throughout the community. And with the addition of this beautiful kitchen that's already there, we'll be able to serve at least 300,000 meals, if not more, in the future. So it's going to have a pretty big impact on people, and we're really excited about providing these accessible wellness services and affordable wellness services to people in Rock Island and beyond. Kathy, would you mind talking a little bit about what's going on the library side here?
Sure. When you walk into the building, it's the purple section. There'll be a desk, and when you go in, and to the east where you see the white space, there's going to be a big enclosed garden space, and the windows should all be, we should have a whole wall of windows, and you'll be able to walk out and have some outdoor time, which will be wonderful. And there'll be stairs along, like a little patio with stairs. And so it'll be perfect for story times or people just to gather and visit or read or just have some time outside that's not in your yard. Maybe you're not looking at weeds or something. And the inside will be flexible space. The shelving will be low and on wheels so they can move things around as they like. And the community room is in where the sanctuary is now. And so we'll have a really great place for lectures and movies. And Augustana comes and gives talks, and the symphony is really interested in coming and having short music programs because the acoustics are good in the building. And one thing that we haven't had at the downtown library is a really great space for teens. They just have a couple of bookshelves. So in the back corner, Denise just highlighted, there will be a designated space for teens to study and to collaborate. And you don't have to buy a cup of coffee at the library to have Wi-Fi. So our philosophy is everyone is welcome, everything is free. So I think that will really be offering a great service to our teens. And hopefully it will be a place they'll go after school. And then that's our hope, and I think it's gonna happen. Did I miss anything, Denise?
No, I think you did a great job.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. So I'll show you a few other renderings that just kind of helps us visualize. If I can get through these. This is just a top view of the building. Entrance over here on the west side. Oops. This would be the new plaza as you come in, with the entrance being right there. Nice welcoming plaza, drop-off area. We hope to have at least like a book drop there. We can also drop people off with a nice big parking lot over here on the side too. That's the Y's kind of check-in desk there with the Y back. You see people working out back there. We hope to, this is the gym that you'll be able to see from the main lobby area. And we hope to add in some more natural light, like I mentioned, just kind of give a nice facelift. Here I'll show you a few different views of the library, their main desk right here, computers, lots of those big windows like Kathy talked about, spaces for studying and gathering, something that's really been lacking in the past to have in this area of the community. We would especially think of the kids too, with being walking distance from 6 different schools, being able to come in and do some homework after school. I think that's just beautiful and awesome. And then they can go to the gym and shoot some hoops or go run around the track. So that'll be great. Just another view of some gathering spaces. The outdoor reading garden, as that other rendering reflected, it will go actually along the building, not the short little thing as it shows here, but I don't know. I just think that reading garden is probably one of my favorite parts. I think there's just, I just imagine kids like getting out a book about butterflies and then catching it with their net and learning about it. And I just think that's a beautiful idea. And I'm really excited to see that come to fruition. A view of the walking track and entrance of the locker rooms, another couple views inside the Y, some areas for gathering. And those are that's all I have for that. So we wanted, I apologize, it's kind of a quick overview of what this is looking like. And we will talk more about some other brochures and resources that you can learn a little bit more about the project. But as Cassie, or as Amy mentioned, we're all kind of at different points of what we know about the project, and I want to make sure we're cognizant of your time here today. But with that said, any questions about what Kathy and I talked about so far? All right. So we're going to get more into what our role as community phase volunteers is in this, and how we go about securing gifts for this phase of the campaign. So the first thing that I find helpful is to kind of know where we fit into the overall structure. So here, this is just a structure chart of what our campaign looks like. So we have our boards, respective boards at the library and the Y. And but really at the top of our campaign is our 3 co-chairs. We have 3 amazing community leaders: Heidi Hughes-Camp Collins, Mark Schwiebert, and Tom Tomes are our 3 tri-chairs. They work with a cabinet of other community leaders and to kind of shape the direction of the campaign and make sure that we stay on track and work a lot on some of the larger gifts. So as I mentioned, we've raised $6.9 million to date. So clearly a lot has been going on before now. So we really started in earnest doing fundraising in October, and that started with getting gifts from people who were involved with the campaign, whether they're on one of our respective boards or members of the cabinet or leadership staff at the Y and library. We moved into some of our larger gifts with the lead in advance, as you see, basically $100,000 plus. We continue to work on those, a few outstanding ones as well, as we look to grow or close that $900,000 gap. We in April, at the end of April, we finished off our pace setting phase, and that one had a phase goal of 1.1 million. And then currently, right now, we are in the midst of our major gifts phase, and we have a goal in major gifts of raising 410,000. And those are gifts of 5,000 to 24,999. And all of these gifts, and I'll try to mention it again later, but we do allow people to give their gifts over a period of up to 5 years. So when it's 1,000 up to 5,000 per year over 5 years, for a total gift of 5,000 to 25. So that phase is currently going on. We hope to wrap it up towards the end of June. It may overlap a little bit with our phase here with community, but not too much so. So, as Amy mentioned, community gifts is the last and probably most fun phase of the campaign. And our goal for this phase is 200,000. It's generally gifts of under 5,000, but it's also an opportunity for anyone who hasn't been asked that might have interest in the project to learn about it and give them the opportunity to be a part of the fundraising and making this project and this facility a reality. So we have, as you guys likely know, we have our captains, then we have 8 different teams, and we will work together in those teams to achieve our overall goal of 200,000. That's kind of where we are in the midst of that. So what I think I'll do now, let's see. I'll go over this calendar, I think, in a moment. So let's, any questions first about kind of where we are or what, and about this campaign chart? Okay. So what I'm gonna talk about next then is, let me pull it up here. Actually, apologize, I have many tabs open, so just a moment. So in a moment, we're going to talk about how we go about making asks and some different ways of getting gifts. But as we think about doing that, I wanted to let you guys know about some different resources that we have available that will kind of help you talk about the project, maybe learn a little bit more about yourself, but also help to share with other people. So the first thing I have on the screen here, this is a brochure, and I will send this electronically, but it's probably best viewed physically with the physical copy. We are waiting to get those back from the printer, but once we have them in hand, we will be sure to let everybody know. And as Kathy mentioned, we're happy to drop those off to you and make them available at the Y, and will also be available at our June 29th kickoff event for you to pick up some additional copies of this and anything else you might need. And I'll talk more about that June 29th event here in a moment. But this is the brochure. Nice colorful thing. I won't spend too much time of it because you'll have a chance to look at it on your own time. But it's just a nice short synopsis of why this project's needed, how the Y and the library each in their own right work to impact the community, and then how we will work with our existing resources and our own experience to meet the current needs in the community. So yeah, so that's a brochure. Some other things that we'll make available that you'll want to use will be our website. So the website is for our campaign, and I'll send this out. I may mention this a few times, but I am going to send out an email later this afternoon, and it will include everything we're talking about here today, along with attachments, including the resources, so that you have a nice kind of one email that has everything that you should really need going forward. But the website for our campaign is www.ri, as in Rock Island, ymcalibrary.org. If you go to it right now, it's not going to show you a whole lot because we are still in the quiet phases of our campaign. We're announcing this publicly on June 29th at our kickoff event. So it's kind of a boring page right now. But the other reason to bring you to this page right now is this is where you can RSVP for the community kickoff event. Again, this is when we will have an event, we'll have food, refreshments, and it'll be down at Schwiebert Park on June 29th in the evening, starting at 6 p.m. with the program that starts at about 6:30. So we have some local food vendors, we have a local Rock Island DJ. We're working on some other entertainment that should really make it a fun event. And it's just a celebration of what we've done so far, and a big announcement to the community about this project. So you are all invited to that. And this is where you'd go to RSVP for it. But I'll send that in that email later today too. But going forward, this website will be great to direct people to for completing their donation, but also learning more about the project. Some other resources we'll make available. Pull it back up here. We'll go over this in a little bit more detail in a moment, but these are the pledge cards. So as you're collecting people's donations, oftentimes we will ask people to fill out.
Just got out of the car without a mask. No, I didn't.
We will ask people to fill out this pledge card because like I mentioned, they can give it over 5 years. It also allows us to make sure we recognize people properly. And this is something else that we will make available to you in physical form as well as electronic. The other resource that we will make available is social media. And we plan on having Wednesday morning Facebook posts that you will be able to share with your own network of people. And so every Wednesday, it'll have a link to our website on how to donate through the website and other information just to kind of help with any online social media activities. You don't have to come up with that yourself. You can just share what we're putting on our page. So those are kind of the main resources, primarily the brochure, the website, and then this pledge card are the things you'll be using as you ask people for gifts. All right. All right, so now I'm going to go over kind of what we consider an 8-step plan for making a successful ask. But I do want to mention before I go into that, I'm going to talk a lot about what we call kind of peer-to-peer fundraising, where you go and you talk to one person and you're asking them about giving a gift. That is not the only way we're going to fundraise during the community phase. As I mentioned, we're going to have social media things. So you might be sharing it on your own Facebook page or inviting people that way. You may just be at a social gathering and you talk about it and you have some brochures in your purse and you take them out and you talk a little bit about it, or you're at your kid's soccer match or you have other little fundraising ideas. And we certainly want to encourage those. We do find that peer-to-peer one-on-one asking is often the most successful, but it is certainly not the only way we're going to pursue. So as I go through just please keep that in mind. So if you are doing an in-person one-on-one ask, after you set up a meeting and a time to talk, and that can be done virtually, in person, over the phone, whatever you're most comfortable with. I always like to start with why I'm involved with a project. If I'm going to be asking someone for a gift, it shows why hearing about why you're passionate about it is probably going to be the #1 most impactful thing, and understanding why you're involved. I think sometimes people think it has to be something super deep and it, changed who you were. And in some cases that may be it, but it can also be that you love Rock Island and you just want to see good things happen. And this project will be good for the community. So that's why you're a part of it too. So I think there's a lot of different ways to tell your story. But that's a great way to start. And then the second thing I like to do is to ask people what they know about the project, because even though we've been in quiet phases, it's kind of a not so well kept secret that this is going on. So it's always great to ask people what their experience is so that you don't duplicate what they already know. It's also great to ask them about what is most interesting to them and what areas of interest they have in the community. Is it kids? Is it lifelong learning and helping job seekers find new jobs, things like that. After that, that's when I would normally kind of bring out the brochure and talk about the case for giving. So you don't need to know everything about this project. Even what Kathy and I talked about, you don't need to know all of that. And there's so many details. But I always think, it's again, best to talk about your experience, your passion, and maybe one example or story or one area of the project that you're most excited about. And you can use those campaign materials and referring people to the website so they can get that additional information if they want it. We do find that when asking for a gift, it's usually best to ask for a specific amount. Instead of just, will you give, it's, will you give $100 a year for 5 years for a total gift of $500. Again, you know, may not make sense in every case, but these are kind of the best practices. So let's say you've done all that, you talked about the case, they're excited, you made your ask. At that time, after you've made your ask, we don't need to answer right then and there. We don't want people to feel pressured. So we want to make sure they have that time to think about it, to think about how the project may impact their community and their family. And then also look at their own resources as to what they might be able to give. So let them know you don't need an answer today, but certainly come up with a follow-up plan of when you're going to talk again. You can leave that brochure with them, leave the pledge card with them, and say, I'll follow up in 7 days and we'll give it a chat and see if you have any questions. Some people may be insistent that they're ready to give right then, and that's great too, and we won't stop them either. Either way, we always want to thank them for their time, for meeting with you and listening about the project. Even if it's a firm no, we still want to say thank you. And yeah, so that's kind of, and then of course I already mentioned kind of the follow-up and saying a specific date. The thing I will do is whenever I get a gift in, if you're asking that person, is I will let you know when we receive the gift so that you can, so when you know, and you don't have to, you know, I don't want to say harass, but you don't have to keep pestering them about their gift, but also then you can always send your own thank you. If you want to send your own thank you via email, in the mail, phone, you have that opportunity as well. So any questions about doing an in-person ask and these steps? Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about securing the pledge and what we do once someone is has made their decision. So I mentioned the pledge card, and so if it is not a requirement that everyone fills out a pledge card, it does help us make sure we recognize them properly, and that way we can recognize them on our donor wall, which we'll have inside, and can always follow up with that thank you or get them the tax letter they may need for that. So if they can fill that out, that's great. If you're doing something, you're doing a little mini fundraiser at a soccer game, or I think someone said they wanted to sell like enchiladas at their kids' soccer games or something similar. So that's not gonna have a pledge card. That we'll just put that in as anonymous, and that'll be a little fundraiser that we'll do on the side. But whenever possible, we do like to have that pledge card. We also, so people through that pledge card, they can indicate when they want to pay and how often. So if someone wants to give, but they don't want to give this year, they want to give in 2022, they just fill out this pledge card, let us know they want to pay $100 and they would like an invoice sent to them in February of 2022, and we can make it happen. Really whatever they want, however they want to pay it over the next 5 years, whatever increments we will make possible. We can accept cash, checks, even stock transfers if someone's getting real complicated, but we can make it happen no matter what. The other way that sometimes is great is the online option. So let me pull that up a moment. So this website that I showed you earlier is where you will be, once the campaign is public, is where people will be able to give online. So that will be live on evening of June 29th, if not just the morning of June 30th. And you can always direct them here and they'll complete that donation via credit card online. If someone is really insistent and you've talked to them before June 29th, I'm going to show you kind of a secret way to donate. We are able, through the YMCA's website, if they go to it, and click donate now, it'll pull up an online giving form. Being a little slow here. The reason I kind of hesitate to share this too much with people is that you have to actually go in and select the campaign. And this is a collaborative campaign and a joint campaign, and I don't want there to be any confusion about who this is supporting. So if someone wants to make a gift and they want to make it now, and they want to make it online, this is an option. If you can't remember how to get to it, just shoot me an email and I can work with them directly. But please know that this is an option to go through the WISE website and then select the Rock Island Capital Campaign and make your donation online. But primarily you'll be using that main website that I showed you. So sometimes people may send in their own pledge card if you left it with them. So they can send it directly to us via email or in the mail. They can drop it off. If someone hands it to you, then you can always do the same. You can mail it in. It's just a pledge, not necessarily any money attached to it. You can send us, take a picture with your phone and email it to us. So just kind of whatever works out best for you, whether they hand that to you or whether they send it in themselves. So that's kind of how we go about securing gifts and again, how we ask. Let me pause there. Are there any questions about that process? Okay.
I have a question, not necessarily about the process, but is there a limit to like how much or like a minimum of how much they?
There's no
That's my question.
Yeah. Online, it says, it'll say here on here, but there is a $10 minimum to donate online. But if someone wants to donate by credit card, and they can fill out the pledge card or give us a call and we can process a payment for less. This is just a system and it's kind of its own. We can't necessarily change the parameters on it. But we will accept if you have a kid and they want to give you 1 penny that they found on the ground, we will take it and we will recognize them for their gift. So gifts of any size are appreciated.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add to that, that's I think the great part about our phase is that we will take anything from anybody. So whatever they can actually afford to make them feel like they're being a part of it is great. So we don't want to have anybody feel like they have to have a certain amount to give. We want them to feel like they've been a part of making this great contribution to Rock Island. So encourage whatever they are comfortable with. I know when I was asked, although I was already aware because I was on the cabinet, I was asked one-on-one, and I asked what they thought I should give. But then like she said, like Denise said, let the person take the time to figure out how much they're willing to give. So I took a couple days, thought about all the organizations that I wanted to donate to within the next year, and then what the YMCA and Library Project really means to me and what I could share with my kids in the future. So I had a couple days to think about how much I was willing to give and what that meant. And so I sent them the pledge card based off of what I was comfortable with and how when I walk into the YMCA, what I can think of what my contribution meant to that. So really whatever someone's willing to give is what we'll take, and we'll do what we have to do to get it.
Thanks, Amy. I appreciate you sharing that. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was how we kind of figure out who asks whom. We try to organize it, at least on the front end here, as much as possible so that people aren't asked twice. Now, when I talk about asking people through social media or little other smaller fundraisers that might happen within this, clearly those people are going to be asked more than once. But we try to do what we can, at least in terms of these one-on-one asks, to make sure that we have a little organization to it. It probably is going to all kind of not completely fall apart, but it is, it will kind of take up on a life that's its own, and that's to be expected, and that's totally okay. But what we will do on the front end here is kind of everyone will have an opportunity to tell us as staff who you would like to talk to one-on-one about the campaign and make an ask. So what's going to happen is later this afternoon, I'm going to send everyone who's volunteering on this phase of the campaign, as part of that email will be a list of people that we have identified as staff and other volunteers on the campaign as people who may be interested in giving a gift to this project. It is not an all-inclusive list. We don't know everybody in the community, but it is a nice jumping off point, especially when you're just trying to pick names out of thin air. So we will send that list, and then we'll, so I'd ask you all to take a little bit of time to review it, and then think about your own network and social and work circles of who you might want to ask and people that aren't on that list. And then what I would ask is that everyone, I'll send this Google form link, but I'll ask you to go through and tell us who you'd like to ask. So you'll just fill out your first and last name, your email, and there's one blank for everybody. So just type away in this one blank and list all the people that you'd like to reach out to. If it's someone with a common name like Joe Smith, knowing a little bit more about maybe their address, their place of work, their spouse's name may help us make sure that we know exactly what person you are talking about. Again, what this helps us do is avoid the same person being approached by two different people. There may be people who already gave to the campaign or people that were already asked in these previous phases and kind of respectively declined at that time to make a gift. So it just kind of keeps us organized. So we will do that review. I'll ask you all to fill that out. If the Google form is not your thing and Google Forms are not everybody's thing, you can always just shoot me an email, give me a call, and I'll be sure to make sure all of you have my contact information, so you can just send the same thing through another way. So what will happen, and I will bring kind of up our calendar here. So right now, this is our calendar for this phase of the campaign. Right now, we're doing our orientation. And what we'll want is if you can review that list and let us know who you'd like to ask by next Friday. And then what we'll do, again, as staff on that back end, is review duplicates and make sure everything looks good. We'll get back to you individually by Wednesday, June 22nd with who you're kind of, I don't want to say okay to ask because you can do what you want, but who we have kind of sorted out and recommend that you ask for gifts. So following that will be our kickoff on June 29th. But we actually do encourage you to start reaching out to people once we send you that list on June 22nd. We will still be in, quote, kind of the quiet part of our campaign. So as I mentioned, the website won't quite be ready. We won't be doing those social media posts until after our kickoff. But it's a nice time to kind of lay that groundwork, maybe set up a meeting or try to start making those phone calls. You could even invite that person to the event, although we do want RSVPs by the 24th, so it might be a pretty quick turnaround. But that kind of gives you a head start. And what will happen then around June 29th is that's when we'll have a lot more activity going on, again, with social media, but we'll also have, and the event, but we'll also have newspaper articles and media, TV news stories and radio, and it will kind of help. If you've already laid that groundwork a little bit, having that extra kind of touch point of information and kind of prompting people, that will really help you as you try to secure those gifts. So again, the community kickoff is on June 29th. We would love it if you all could be there. We'll have the materials that you can pick up. There'll be food and drinks, non-alcoholic drinks, but drinks and entertainment. And it should be really fun. We do hope, the hope would be that we could try to finish up as much as possible and reach our $200,000 goal by the middle of July. There may be some things that it goes on a little longer, but the more we do, the sooner we start and the more work we put into it, the less time it'll take to get it done. But we certainly understand with it being summer, your schedule, you might be going on a vacation, or you got, kids soccer, and you're traveling with that, or whatever or others that you're asking may have a similar situation. So it kind of just depends on your own schedule and the schedule of those that you're working with. So that is the process for how we will go about selecting and kind of our timeline. What questions do we have about any of that?
Is there any way, and this must just be the competitive nature, or not competitive, we're all a team, but are we supposed to track any about like what team or how, like which contributions we've gotten?
Yeah, so I will, if you've gotten, well, you're saying, are you wanting everyone to know how much we each raised, or is it just so that you know for yourself
just
how much you raised?
Or not just for ourselves, but just so we kind of have like a running, like we have that running number.
Yeah.
Yes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just for everyone to know, not competitive, but
We can make it a little competitive in a good
right.
yeah. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. We will have check-in meetings with Amy. We'll talk about more, but I think that's a great idea to send out some emails that kind of, maybe on either the Friday or the Monday before, that kind of tells people where everyone's at and can keep people on track. I think that's an awesome idea. We will do that. Thanks.
I wouldn't call it competitiveness. I'd call it encouragement.
Yeah, it's like cheerleading. We're cheerleading each other and lifting each other up.
Much better word. Thank you, Amy.
Great. So before I have Amy talk about kind of our check-in meetings, let's kind of just recap really short about what you can expect from me. So as I mentioned, I will send out that email later today, and it will have a lot of the same information that we went over today. But the only thing you need to think about over the next week is reviewing the list that I will send of people and who you want to ask. And then getting back to me with that by next Friday. So that's the one thing on your to-do list. Again, as I kind of said earlier, one-on-one asks may not be for everyone. So if you have a different plan, just let me know and we will get you what you need to make it successful. We are open to ideas. You guys are probably more creative than us, and you probably have a really cool idea, and we will make it happen. So this is just kind of the framework we've built. We can do anything else that you may be thinking of as well. And that's all I have.
Okay. And since Maggie asked, and you are a team leader, I plan on asking a lot of family members and neighbors and stuff. So team leads, I encourage you guys to make asks as well. So going into the check-in meetings. So the check-in meetings, they are optional, but I do encourage them mainly to share ways that people are asking for gifts if they're being creative. Like Denise said, someone said that they were going to do an enchilada fundraiser. So these will be opportunities to share either roadblocks or lessons learned or ways that they found successful for asking for gifts. Right now we have those dates as June 30th, July 7th, and July 14th. We're going to create an afternoon as well as evening option, probably around the same times that we've had these previous meetings. So whichever ones you guys can make, that would be great. But really, even if you're having great success with asking for gifts, we highly encourage you to attend to share with others what is making it a success for you, so they may want to try it out as well. Then if our final report will be on the July 14th, if our fundraising is going pretty well, that's what we will also determine if we're going to add a couple more, elongate our fundraising to try to get a little bit more. But ideally, and we won't ask for you guys to go much farther than, was it mid-July for this stage?
Great. The one thing I did forget to mention earlier is that overall in the campaign, we hope to have all of our fundraising, so I talked about some of the other gaps we're making up in terms of maybe some larger gifts of 100,000 that we're still pursuing, but we hope to have all of our fundraising done sometime in August, and then construction starting in late fall, with the facility opening in summer of 2022, hopefully early summer about this time.
Okay, so we're at the end. So
Yeah.
let me see. I'm gonna look at my list to make sure I've talked about everything. So we already talked about a couple things, but just a reminder, Denise is gonna send out an email with a lot of these instructions. I'll probably follow up with a text to the team leads, as well as we did have this recorded. So for those who can't make it, the team leaders can share this video or touch base with your team members to go over some of the things we discussed today. A reminder of the kickoff event. Make sure you RSVP. Would be great if you can attend. I will be giving a shout out to all the members of this phase and asking you all to join me on stage to recognize you and thank you for your participation. And then finally, since we are asking others to make contributions, I want you to think about what you'd be willing to contribute. Yes, you're contributing your time and it's greatly appreciated, but I think the most rewarding thing is to be able to give a gift. I know when I made my decision of what I wanted to give, I really envisioned myself walking into the library and why, and being able to tell my children, like, if we sat down at a table, like, I probably bought this table for the why, or looking at a stack of books and saying, you know, that row of books, mommy paid for that. So just thinking of what you want to envision when you walk into the why and how you contributed and how you want to give when the time comes is greatly appreciated. So thank you for not only being team members, but also if you can give a gift, that would be greatly appreciated as well. So are there any questions before we conclude today? No. Okay. Well, if you have any questions that you didn't want to ask in today's meeting, feel free to reach out to me. I've seen a lot of great names that I think you guys will do awesome. I'm really looking forward to see what you guys come up with, and excited for next summer, I guess, when we walk into the Y together. Denise, did you have anything?
No, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone and look forward to working with you all and have a great weekend.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.